vernacular medium, and the taxi driver is reading that story and demanding to know why not me, and the chai stall guy in rural Maharashtra is sharing the Marathi newspaper along with 10 people, because in the villages what happens is 10 people will read the same newspaper, and sometimes the same glasses are also passed around, for the elderly people. So it's a cascading problem and big problem. And we could stay on this subject for the rest of the day, but we also have paucity of time. Ma'am, you go next. No. The lady in the yellow sari there.
Ajit, I just want to make a clarification. It's not just Indian journalists who think that way. This is a worldwide thing. You are supposed to report the crime, the corruption, the rape, the whatever it is, to highlight it. That's just point number one. Kiran, this one's for you. You talked about the media, about the television and films that are creating this new culture that we're more comfortable with. What do you think of the impact of the new literature that's come out? The Chetan Bhagats, Amish Tripathis and all. What sort of impact have they had on us finding being comfortable in our own skin?
Right. Actually, when I talk about television and film, I want to make a clarification there. I think we are creating content that's probably more reflective of us as a people. It's a bit scary for me because I don't actually subscribe to a lot of what comes on fiction, television, or, for instance, on screens as films. But certainly, yes, there's a lot more of us in our movies, and I'm happy to say that even in big mainstream Hindi, Tamil, etc., different kinds of different language films of India, there is a sense that there is not just a sort of a standardized formulaic story or hero. And there is a little more subtlety coming through, whether it's a regional stories or stories, different women characters. I do feel that it's growing, so I do feel we're getting there. It's certainly nowhere close to where I hope it'll get. But again, I think in literature, I have to admit that I've not read enough of the best-selling Indian authors. But from what I read of their success, and especially Amish Tripathi's sort of taking, pretty much piggybacking on Indian myth and legend and, sort of converting it into this exciting, new, modern, is again a step in that direction where the stories that we've maybe just before my generation have heard since they've been growing up, they look at again in a different light. It's all exciting again, and it's become relevant. It's become contemporary. So I think it's a time that people have the space to do more things of that kind, and I think entrepreneurship and the way Indian business models have changed. Writers, T-shirt designers, people who sell different things online have created cultures for us to go back to and reference.
So we'll come to you now. So your time is now. But let me ask you something. How many of you are here who are less than 25 years of age? Okay, people in the back. Oh my God, this is amazing. So this is so good, so nice. Okay, so we want two 25-year-olds to ask questions which need not be boring, need not be intellectual, okay, need not be serious stuff. It can be any question. We retain the right to answer, not to answer, personal, professional, anything. So you could ask a question to Kiran and a question to Ajit. But before that, Miss, you go.
Hello. Good evening to all of y'all. It's afternoon, sorry. So my question to y'all is, the topic says India, our time is now. We see it's been a paradigm shift from the time of independence, socially, culturally, even technologically. So, but then what is one thing that pulls us back right now? According to both of y'all, what is the one problem that India faces as a country? That's it.
I'm not sure there is anything which is keeping us back. Right now, the whole world is going through an economic recession. I promise you that the problems that we have here is 1%. Some of my friends in England and France, they look at the future and say the future is a dark wall. They see no hope. What is the hope for a country like England when they look into the next 10 years? They bet everything on financial services in London, and that has imploded, never to rise again to this extent. What do the French do? They, 3 people are doing work for 1 person through their social system. So I think compared to them, everything in the future looks super bright to me. As usual, we'll have 6 of us will have 10 views on how we will achieve that future. There will be. Do not worry. I think that's how our film and media and print industry stay alive, by telling us which way to go. And there are severe challenges too, because part of it, I think, honestly, there is a middle class angst, partly because government has stopped recruiting for the last 10 years. The government used to be the main job provider for the Indian middle class. The nationalized banks have stopped recruiting and so on. Our IT services people saved us from 1991 to 2007, and they have paused a little bit. The scale at which we do things, sometimes, since I'm connected to the education sector, I can tell you, and nobody can get this right. Do you have any idea in the last decade how many colleges have gone opened in India? Throw a number at me.
Yes,
how many new colleges have opened in India in the last 10 years?
Colleges worth calling colleges? Or
colleges. Colleges as accredited to universities. I'm not talking of 20,000 colleges. Last year alone, India opened 3,000 colleges in 1 year. That's the scale. So a big challenge then is to see how do you deliver quality education without becoming over-legislating on that, without meting out criminal penalties as we normally do for, teachers don't teach, put them in jail, that kind of stuff. So we have the scale problems. Everywhere you have scale problems in education, in healthcare. So how to master the scale issue is a thing. And I think some of the messages learning may come from IT services companies, many of whom very comfortably recruit 20,000 people in 1 year and deploy them and make them work well. So some of the answers may also come. So I think dealing with the whole scale issue is, I think, the big thing.
I actually differ in that I think one thing that's holding us back is our education, is our kind of education. I think we need education, we need to reform education, and we have to change it right from the very primary level upwards, because people who benefit from this kind of education are people like me, who come from literate backgrounds, who are able to mug up reams and reams of information. And I think what's therefore holding us back is we have youth who are bright, who are desperate to take on the world, to do so much, but are not equipped with an education that teaches them to be inventive, to be innovative, to interpret the world around them in their own ways. And that, I think, is our big, big challenge, because despite that, thanks to just, I think, the sheer, just the fact that they're just talented and need and the desire to perform and to do things makes Indians still so entrepreneurial, so risk-taking, and, by our sheer numbers, we become that many more. But if we had an education that was relevant to our realities today as a diverse country, that actually encouraged people to be innovative and create things, to change, their different points of view were actually encouraged, rather than, please produce exactly what was there in the textbook verbatim so that, you get 100%. Education, analysis of how a child is wasn't done on this marks system, but on a child's ability to interpret, taking into account that many different things, and academia is one part of it, So once we have an education that does that, nobody can stop us as a nation. We're just waiting to take off, according to me. If we had teachers and we had an education system that encouraged people to, to fulfill their own individual potential.
Subject to 2014 elections, just so dekhte rahiye. Now, 25-year-olds, fun question, no serious stuff. Do you have a fun question to ask, Kiran or Rajit?
I have a compliment for you.
Oh my God.
I teach business and management.
This is not a planted thing, okay? So.
No, it's absolutely not planted. I've never seen you before.
Thank you.
But this is actually my student here with me today. And so I teach business and management, and I've also used MBA at 16 in class to encourage them to be entrepreneurial. So my question to you is, how do you think we can encourage the youth to be, to instill the values of entrepreneurship? Because we have so many problems across the country, and like, you know, reaching villages and reaching all these different places and solving different problems needs that entrepreneurial spirit. So how do you think we can inculcate that among students? That's my question.
So the thing that she's talking about is a book I wrote for 16-year-olds called MBA at 16. This happened after I worked with 31 kids, 14 girls and 17 boys, all 16, over a 3-month period to see what's going on in their mind about the world of business, and then wrote this little book. But the fun thing is that that book is now getting translated to, you know, other Indian languages. But on her question about entrepreneurship, reflect on this, and I see you, and of course Amir, I respect him as an entrepreneur, and you represent the creative economy, actually. By the way, to just give a glimmer of hope to the Britishers, you know, Ajit talked about the fading financial economy. The one sector which is growing higher than the GDP in Britain is the creative economy, and they're trying to rope in creative people from all over the world because they see that that could be a big advantage for Britain in the years to come. And they're saying that, look, you know, if you put together Spice Girls, a band like Spice Girls, you don't need SEZ land. At the height